Hello, everybody, and welcome to Prophet Daniel Has Spoken Research Channel. Today I will be exposing Godlogic. Have a listen to him.
Me going up to the dawah tables. They're setting up tents, inviting people to ask about Islam, and literally signs ask about Islam. I come to ask about Islam, and they're like, no, we don't want to talk to you. No, we don't want to talk to you.
After all of this bravo that he declares himself of and brags about, he falters at the Quran verse chapter 65, verse 4. His allegations are that the Quran is an advocate of child marriage. So we will go ahead and ascertain those claims of his.
You'll see.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, what is in the Quran that is so vile, that is so disgusting, violent, and abusive, and that what's the fuss about? All right. Well, I'm going to show you my least favorite thing to talk about. You ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay. So I'm going to show you that the most disgusting thing about the Quran and Islam as a whole is that it permits and indulges in child marriage and child relations.
You can't be
That,
serious.
yes. So I'm going to show you this, man. And hopefully, when I show you this, I'll never have to bring this up again to you because I hate this topic. It's disgusting. It pisses me off and it really gets me angry. So,
So he goes on to say a major, a major allegation against the Quran that the Quran is somehow a proponent of child marriage. So the verse that he points at is a verse from Surah 65, verse number 4. So here it is. So what I'll be doing today is going through this verse word by word, phrase by phrase, looking for his allegation that it is a advocate of child marriage, or the Quran advocates child marriage. So we will ascertain whether his claim today is true or not. Okay. So what does the Quran say? What does it read for itself? So it starts off wallahi. It's a pronoun used for women. So wallahi ya'isna min al-mahid. So it says those ladies who are unsure. Ya'isna is they're unsure of or uncertain about min al-mahid, concerning their menopause or their periods, the menstruation cycles, if they're unsure, min nisaikum, among the ladies, in irtabtum, if they doubt in the matter, فَإِدَّتُهُنَّ ثَلَاثَةُ أَشْهُرٍ. And it says their waiting time during the process of divorce is 3 months. So if any woman going through the process of divorce is unsure about her menopause, whether having ceased her menstruations or not, whether she was ovulating or not, she has to wait for 3 months before moving into a new marriage. And the reason behind that is that if she were to be pregnant, then God would have her wait until she gives birth. So that's the essentials of this legislation here. Okay, and the verse continues, "Wallahi lam yahidna," and this is the phrase where the controversy erupts. And people who want to misunderstand, this is where they falter, and rightly so. Godlogic, too fond of promoting child marriage, falters at this phrase. So what is the Quran really talking about when it says wallahi lam yahidna? So when it says wallahi lam yahidna, it means as compared to the women who have ceased menstruations. So if you're certain that you have hit menopause, then you don't have to wait for 3 months before moving on to a new marriage. That's exactly what the Quran is talking about. Okay, so then it goes on to say, the Quran, وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ, but those ladies who have been found pregnant during that period of wait of 3 months. أجلهن, their new wait time would be أن يضعن حملهن, until they give birth. So the verse is really talking about a condition, about menopause for a particular group of women who are in their 40s to 50s. So not all women hit menopause at a certain age. It all varies plus and minus. So if you're during that period of your life, that age of your life, when you are having to deal with menopause and you're not sure, so God says your waiting time is 3 months if you're uncertain, just to make sure you're not pregnant. But if you are confirmed menopause, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ, and you do not menstruate anymore, لَمْ يَحِدْنَ is you do not menstruate anymore, that means you're not ovulating, that means you will not become pregnant, then you don't have to wait for the same amount of time. وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ, but if you have been found pregnant, أَجَلَهُنَّ أَن يَضَعْنَ حَمْلَهُنَّ, your waiting time will extend until you give birth. So this is the meaning of the word of this verse. So apparently it's a verse that deals with divorce, which I believe Godlogic understands it very well, but he goes on to play his evil finger in it. Okay, but anyway, this is a verse dealing with divorce. But now the question looms, how are you going to extract a ruling for marriage from a statute on divorce? It's juridically inappropriate to do that. It is not normative. It is contradictory to a normative procedure of interpreting legislation. It is legally inconsistent to be able to do that, to be able to derive a ruling for marriage from a statute written on divorce. I cannot comprehend this, how this guy calls himself Godlogic goes on to advocate such a thing. Okay, so we'll listen to what he has to say, and then I will conclude.
Females within Islam, the rulings on this. Okay. When we get to verse 4, this is what it says. I'm going to put it on the screen so we can see it.
So the guy understands clearly that the rulings for divorce are in this chapter. He has a very good understanding of it. Okay.
And those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt, now remember, it's talking about divorcing them, right? So when it's lawful to divorce them, and if they're allowed to move on to the next man, how much time they has to go by before they're able to move to the next relationship, or they're lawful again for someone else. Okay.
So there you go. He has a very clear understanding of what this section is talking about. It's a legislation dealing with concerning divorce, right? It's concerning with divorce, right? He understands that very well. But I don't know why he falls.
So, so this is what it says. And so those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt, then their period is 3 months. Okay. So the first category of women that are being divorced are women who are too old to menstruate, right? They don't expect to menstruate anymore. They're in menopause.
He gets that wrong. The Quran is very clear when it says it is talking about women who are uncertain. That's the first category, who are uncertain on their menopause. So basically, it uses 2 words to describe that. Yeah, isna is one word where they're unsure, uncertain, and irtabtum is another word that emphasizes the doubt, that if women are doubtful concerning their menopause. There's 2 words, you can't escape them. There's emphasis in this verse that it's the first category, it's about women who are doubtful concerning their menopause.
Right?
Okay.
So if you doubt, then their period is 3 months, meaning that it's 3 months that they have to wait after they're divorced they have to wait 3 months before they're lawful for someone else. It's to make sure they're not pregnant.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he also gets that. It's to make sure they're not pregnant. The guy is a smart guy, but I don't know why he falters. He's a motivated person for sure. So his motivations against Islam, he is prejudiced against Islam. So his whole approach is to prove the Quran wrong, or prove the Quran as if it's a vile thing, as if it's a disgusting thing, and that motivation actually goes on to cause him to fall on his head, right? On his face. He falls on his face because of that prejudice.
Okay.
All right. So to make sure that they're not pregnant, they have to wait 3 months, then they can move on to the next to the other man. Okay. Now, here's the part where the problem comes. And those who have not menstruated.
How convenient. How convenient. And those who have not menstruated. So meaning he implies that to be a bunch of young girls who haven't really hit puberty yet. And he goes on to say you can also marry them because of this phrase here. How he falters. So this is a verse that is talking about the procedure for divorce, and he, out of the blue, gets this understanding that that bit of the phrase is for young girls who haven't menstruated, who haven't hit puberty. Like, it's not talking about that, man. It's talking about in comparison to women who are sure that they have hit menopause. So if you are certain that you have hit menopause, that's when you don't have to wait for 3 more months just to make sure you're not pregnant, because that's not needed, because you've hit menopause. You're not ovulating anymore. You will not be pregnant anymore. You understand that, buddy?
So for those who have not menstruated, they also have the same time period, 3 months before they can move on. Which means that, so for the older women who are in menopause, who don't expect to menstruate anymore, they have to wait 3 months. And the same for the young girls who haven't menstruated at all. They're also being divorced, and they have to wait 3 months before they're lawful for another man to make sure they're not pregnant. Okay? And then it says, and for those who are pregnant, their term is until they give birth. And whoever fears Allah, he will make it easy for them. So 3 categories of women. One is the older, who doesn't menstruate anymore, or they don't expect to menstruate anymore. The second are the young ones who haven't menstruated, right?
Gets it wrong. The first category is the ones who are doubtful of their menstruation, whether they've hit menopause or not. That's the first category. The second category is for people who are sure and certain about menopause. Okay, it's not about babies, you boy.
They haven't even hit puberty yet, and they're being slept with and divorced. And then the third are the pregnant women. Obviously, our problem is category 2, the young girls.
And the third are those who are pregnant, who are being found pregnant during that period. So it's very clear. So it's about women who have doubts about their menopause, so they have to wait for 3 months before they move on to a new marriage after they've ascertained that they're not pregnant with the child. All right. So the second category, who is very sure, certain about having hit menopause, they're not ovulating, so they don't have to wait as much as 3 months. That's the comparison, an analogy drawn to women who menstruate and women who don't menstruate. Okay. So the phrase really "wallahi lam yahidna" means the women who are not menstruating anymore. That's what it means. "Wallahi lam yahidna," who do not menstruate any longer. So those are the women who have hit menopause, so they don't have to wait as much for the same amount of time to be able to remarry. Do you get that, boy? So, and the third category of women are the ones who are found pregnant in that period. So they have their new waiting time would be until they give birth. That's the statute, man. It's to deal with the process of divorce. And it's very gullible of you. You're not smart anymore to be able to interpret that as marrying young girls like Rebecca does to Isaac in Genesis. That's not what it is. Okay? That's not what it is. So I'm not saying Rebecca was a baby girl, and the same would apply to people who think Prophet Muhammad married a 9-year-old or a 6-year-old Aisha. That's just not true. To be able to find out the truth, you need to struggle with the Quran to be able to understand that properly. I'm here to challenge this guy. If he wants to prove this is the most vilest thing in the Quran, let him come and debate me and prove that that is the case, and prove to me beyond doubt that the Quran actually advocates child marriage. So let him convince me to leave Islam like he does on his streams. All right. So I'm here. I'm inviting him for a debate on this subject, and if he can prove, then he will deserve your fellowship and a fan following already. See you in the next video. Bye.